Welcome to the Wonders of Watercolour. My name is Ray Campbell, and over here we teach you how to paint with watercolour, providing you free tutorials with easy to follow steps. Now, a little while ago I reached out to my Facebook community and asked them to submit their paintings to me so that I could showcase their wonderful works right here on the Wonders of Watercolour. So we had quite a few people submitting their gorgeous paintings, and I made my first video about it in this video that you'll see on the top of your screen. So if you want to check that out, do click through and take a look at their amazing works. So this video is all about me showcasing my wonderful viewers' works, and I'm going to take a back seat and hand my channel over to them while I'll be showing you their stunning paintings from both our Patreon and our free YouTube tutorials from here, The Wonders of Watercolour. If you have submitted your works to me, stay tuned to see whether you've been selected for this episode of our showcases. Every week here on The Wonders of Watercolour, we provide you with free full-length tutorials so that you can join in and become hopefully a better artist. Now, we give you a free tutorial, but not only that, we also provide you with a free outline so that if you don't like the drawing element, if you maybe find that holds you back a little bit, you can just trace down that outline and create your works from there. My gift to you so that you can join in with our tutorials, and you can get those from our free membership level over on Patreon. Like I said, my gift to you so that you can join in with us here. So I'm going to take a back seat and introduce you to artist number one. Starting off strong with our first artist, Deanna. This is one of my favourite tutorials that Deanna has submitted, and it's a sycamore seed tutorial. You can see here how absolutely beautiful this painting is. It's got so much detail, and I'll talk to you about that in a minute, but I'll pin the video on the top of your screen here so that you can click through and watch it yourself. It's full length and completely free. What I love about the way that Deanna has handled this is you can see how she's glazed over some of the colours to really give them a boost. Now, if you're not familiar with watercolour, one of the things that makes watercolour really stand out is by glazing, and what that means is you're placing a colour on top of another colour. This will give your painting so much more depth and realism, and Deanna has made this look absolutely beautiful. Let's talk about the details that you see here in all those little veins. It must have taken you a while to do, and you've also got the little highlights hitting the top of the green seed heads there, which I think is amazing. Let me tell you a little bit about Deanna. She's saying that I love the way that made it come to life. The variation in colour is gorgeous, from the warm brown and sienna tones to the violet shades. After doing the base tones and shades, it was so relaxing to paint in the fine details and the veins. So thank you for supplying us with the tutorials. And she's telling us that she's from America, from the USA, has had various creative outlets, and she has been painting her whole life. Nature inspires me, and I hope to get better at detailed botanical watercolours, and I think you'll agree that it's a stunning painting. So a lot of the artists that we're going to be seeing today, some of them, like Deanna, has been painting for a while, but we also have people who have maybe not been painting for very long, so keep that in mind as we work through the tutorials. So this is a stunning painting, a really good strong start here. So thank you to Deanna for being one of our participants, and let's move on to artist number two. Next up we have Adele. Adele is one of our Facebook moderators, and we have been working together for quite some time, but I'm not biased at all. Adele's work is absolutely stunning, so let's kickstart this with our first painting from Adele. We've got a few contenders from Adele, which I'm going to show you on the screen, and as I show you the paintings, I'm going to be telling you a little bit about Adele and what she's all about and how long she's been painting. Now, over here on the Wonders of Watercolour, we are normally all about painting flowers and botanicals, but the first painting I'm going to show you from Adele is this gorgeous eye. I mean, we've never painted anything like this before, but what a stunning painting that Adele has done here. Adele tells me that she didn't think she was ever capable of painting something like this. That when she's achieved something like this, it gives her confidence. And you know, we all have this doubt in ourselves, don't we? We often have this doubt that we can't paint, or we don't have the ability or skills. What Adele has achieved here is just incredible. When you're looking at the middle of the eye, she's achieved that really glossy shine that you can see, the gentle shifts in skin tone and the iris. I mean, it's just a stunning painting. I really love this one. It's one that we did a long time ago on the Wonders of Watercolour. We've been going for about 4 years now. So I'll link it on the screen here so that you can check it out for yourself. Like I said, it's full length and completely free, and you can get the outline for this one over on our Facebook group because it is an older tutorial. Next up, we have a Gerberas. This is another older one of ours, and what I love about this one is Adele has achieved the depth of colour that is second to none. As I spoke about when talking about our previous artist, by colour glazing, what you're doing is you're making your painting come to life. You're applying a colour on top of another colour to make that painting sing. Adele has absolutely achieved this beautifully here, and I absolutely love the colours, as well as the stamen and anther in the middle of that painting. Another stunning painting, Adele, just absolutely beautiful. Another painting that Adele has done, it's some lilies. This is from our Patreon, and if you want to join our Patreon, we have monthly tutorials over there, as well as mentorships and coaching level, and I will link that. I'll pin a comment underneath if you want to check us out. Adele says about this that she purchased some watercolors on Amazon during the pandemic, and I did my first watercolor painting following along from our tutorials in December 2021, has fallen in love with it and has never stopped. I think you'll agree that it's a beautiful painting. And Adele, you have come on leaps and bounds. We've been doing a little bit of coaching together. I can see how you've blossomed as an artist. So thank you very much for submitting that painting. And finally from Adele, we have another one that we've done over on YouTube. So this is a free full-length tutorial again. I will link it here so that you can click through and take a look. Now, what I love about this one is Adele has achieved the papery-like husk on the outside, made it look realistic. It can be difficult to achieve this kind of painting when you're looking at that kind of leathery, papery looking outside shell of the fruit. That can be difficult to achieve, but Adele, you've really got this. And also the detail that you see in the negative painting on the leaves, on the papery husk, as well as the glossy fruit inside. Very sharply done, which means that you've got those lovely outside edges, which I absolutely adore, and the colours are spot on. Now, just a quick note on colours. We provide you with a list of materials every week here on the Wonders of Watercolour. And although we recommend the colours, you don't have to use them. I'm a great advocate of using what you have. So if you don't have the best paints or the best paper or the best brushes, don't worry, because we are all about using and utilising the tools that you've got so that you can join in with our tutorials without any worry. Allow yourself to be a beginner if you are. You're not going to learn it overnight. Our tutorials are suitable for all levels. Now, we have what I call a learn to paint as you paint approach. What I mean by that is we don't use colour theory, we don't use drawing skills. All we are about is getting paint onto paper. Using my learn to paint as you paint method, that means you follow my steps and you are learning as you are creating pieces of art. And I think it's a great way of learning. So thank you, Adele, for sharing your absolutely stunning paintings with us here on the Wonders of Watercolour. I think you've done a stunning job, and as I said earlier on, you've come on leaps and bounds as an artist, and I am very proud of you, as I am with everybody else here. So let's move on to artist number 3. Next artist is Sue. We have 3 submissions from this lovely lady, and I'm going to show them to you one by one. So these are all from YouTube, so they are all free tutorials. So let's kick off with number 1. So the first painting from Sue is going to be this cute little rose in jar. Sue tells me that her mother-in-law was really pleased when Sue gave it to her in the form of a birthday card. Great idea. You've done a little painting and made it into a birthday card. I think that's fantastic. This tutorial is from a few years ago, and it's one of my favorites because it was one of my how to paint something really quickly. And that's not to say that you have to go really fast, by the way, but it's a beautiful painting. And I think what I love about this is that you can see that glossiness of the vase and the water inside it. Because we've got a rather unusual viewpoint of the rose, it's facing in a sort of different direction that you would normally have something kind of facing you from the front. I love it. It's such a simple looking painting, but a bit of effort's gone into this one, I can tell, and I really like it. So next up we have our lanterns. These again from a YouTube tutorial, which I will link here. I love it because you've achieved all these lovely papery shells of the plant, And again, you've got that gorgeous variation in colour and form, and the green little one on the bottom here again gives it a little bit of realism, and it's a lovely painting. And finally from Sue, we've got this lovely orange lily flower here. Again, this is from our free tutorials on YouTube, which I'm going to link on your screen right now. What I love about this is the depth of colour that Sue has achieved. Something that we talk about very often with watercolour is it can be hard to get that strong colour. What can happen is that the more layers that you put on your paper, or if you go in a little bit too thickly, you can get that lift up, which makes watercolour, gives it a little bit of a bad press, of something I've spoken about before. But if you layer your paints up slowly and carefully by following my process on here on the Wonders of Watercolour, you can achieve these gorgeous depth of colour that you might not think possible otherwise. So I'm going to be telling you a little bit about Sue. Sue tells me that she is 68 years old and lives in Rochester in Kent. And Sue says that she discovered my tutorials after retiring, very sadly 6 months after her husband very sadly passed away, and she needed to keep herself occupied. And she goes on to say, what a wonderful discovery, and after binge watching a lot of them, your method of teaching encouraged me to give watercolour a try. And now I can't claim to be proficient, but I do have the occasional success, and I'm ecstatic with the results of the 3 that I've submitted. The Rose in a Vase almost brought a lump to my throat when I finished it. It was my first successful painting. The Physalis and the Lily I completed with many failures in between. Each one was completed with a sense of achievement and pride. I had to take a semi-break from painting and crafting through a difficult past 12 months, but now I'm keen to get back on track and start to practice again. There are so many of your tutorials that I mentally bookmark to try, and I paint them all small enough to use as greeting cards, but do keep photographs of my progress and achievements. I would like to take this opportunity of sending you my heartfelt thanks for your tutorials. They've allowed me to mentally take care of myself and a peaceful place for a couple of hours every so often. And I think I agree with you there. Very often when we're talking about, we all have things going on in our lives, and very often I hear people talking about difficult times that they're having, and art can be a way of adjusting our mental health by taking our mind off things. When we're thinking about mental health, painting can be a really good distraction, and sometimes we need to give our mental health we need to take care of ourselves, and I think oftentimes we can be absorbed in something for a little bit just to give ourselves a little bit of respite from things that are troubling us. Thank you for sharing your story with us, Sue, and I think you've done some lovely paintings and you should be proud of them, so congratulations, and thank you so much for sharing your story. It means a lot that you're happy to do that here on the Wonders of Watercolour, so thank you very much, and for your lovely submissions. Let's move on to our next artist. We have Claire. Again, Claire is one of our moderators on our Facebook group. I need to talk to you a little bit about that before I start showing you Claire's wonderful work. We have our own private Facebook group by the same name, The Wonders of Watercolour, that we created so that you can share your finished paintings from our tutorials. One of the great things about having this Facebook group is that it means that you can share your finished paintings as well as your works in progress. You're sharing that ugly stage as well as the finished painting. We all know that watercolour has that ugly duckling stage, and by seeing that with other people, it can mean that you're sharing your thoughts on how you're progressing, and have some feedback from me and my fantastic team. But do consider joining us. We are a great Facebook community. We have a really great team behind the scenes that help us keep the group nice and safe, and it's a great space to share your paintings and get some feedback from me and the rest of the team. So do consider joining us. And we do have some of our older outlines there before we started putting them onto Patreon. Again, they're all free, so just click to join up. I'll link it in the description underneath, and I've talked enough. Let's have a look at Claire's work. First up, we have this blackberry. We have showcased this one in our last episode from Carol, but this is Claire's rendition of the blackberry. Again, another stunning painting. Capturing the little highlights on the droplets of the blackberry is quite a difficult thing to do. We've got the shine hitting the light hitting each of those, and we've also got the darker elements where they join in the middle, and I think Claire has absolutely nailed this piece here. We've got this lovely kind of soft stem that you see with all the little hairy whispery bits, wispy bits and another stunning painting. What I really like about this is Claire has captured each of the highlights, making each of the duplets really stand out. And I love the sharpness of this painting. I think when you're giving your watercolors that little bit of it's attention to detail, and I think this looks absolutely beautiful. So next up from Claire, we have the white alstroemeria flower. Again, this one is from a YouTube. This is going back, another one of our older ones. I'll post it here so that you can see. Painting white flowers in watercolour can be really difficult to do because, of course, you've got the white of the paper. You don't normally use white watercolour to paint white. Claire has absolutely nailed this with a different kind of shades of grey and yellow and green to give this lovely alstroemeria flower its shape and its dimension. Along with these beautiful green leaves that have got so much detail, I'm absolutely blown away. And again, we're talking about the sharpness that you see here. An absolutely beautiful painting. I think it's probably one of my favourite ones from Claire, although having said that, next up, we have this absolutely stunning flower. Let me show you this one. So this one is from our Patreon. We did this one a little while ago, a couple of years ago, maybe, I can't remember. This is incredible. What I love the most about this, where do I start? Claire, you have absolutely surpassed yourself here. You have got the very, very dark burgundy tones on the bottom half of this flower really standing out. You can almost see its velvet-like texture, and look at that absolutely dark colours there, along with the negative painting that you can see on the top part. It's an absolute joy. I mean, it's so sharp and so beautiful. When we're talking about watercolors, something I've touched on before in this video is when you're looking to get that strong dark color, it's really difficult to get that with watercolor without that watercolor paint going muddy. When you're looking at layering your paint slowly and carefully, it's a much better way of doing it, which means that you can get that depth of colour that you need. And Claire has achieved it so beautifully here. This is just a glorious piece. Now, this is one of our Patreon tutorials. If you did want to join us there, membership starts for this particular membership level, which is the Clematis tier. Membership starts at £7 plus VAT. So if you want to join us over on Patreon, do take a look. I will pin it in the comments so that you can join us there. You can join and leave at any time, whatever you want to do. You can stay as long as you want to. Obviously, we'd like you to stay with us as long as you can, but it is £7 plus VAT UK price. So do check us out, and I'll link it down below. And one more from Claire. This one from Claire is another little stunner. We did a competition over on our Facebook group a couple of years ago where I asked my lovely members to submit paintings of their pets with a view to being made into a tutorial. And one of our lovely members submitted this painting. They submitted a photograph of their dog called Bentley. And here we have the stunning painting that Claire has done. So Claire has done us really, really proud. I think you've really captured the personality of this little dog, Claire. So again, I will link it on the screen here so that if you all want to click through to make this painting yourself, then do check us out. So we don't just do flowers and plants over here on the Wonders of Watercolour. We do from time to time do other stuff as well. So thank you again for submitting this piece. And finally from Claire, we have another Patreon tutorial. This is our Echinacea flower, and again, this is one that we did a little while ago on Patreon. And again, we're talking about painting white flowers, and Claire has absolutely brought this to life. Again, the detail here that you see is quite incredible. It must have taken you a bit of time, Claire, to get all that detail in the stamen and anther in the middle, as well as capturing that white colour, which I have just touched on is a difficult thing, or can be a difficult thing to do. Thank you so much, Claire, for your lovely submissions. I think we need to move on to our next artist. Our next artist is Nhair. Here we have another Patreon tutorial where Nhair has created these lovely bright yellow daffodils. Let me tell you a little bit about Nhair because she has submitted a little bit of information about herself, which we all love to hear. Nhair writes, "My journey with watercolour painting began in my hometown when I was around 10 years old. So she has been painting a little while, attending weekend classes at Cultural and Art House for Children. Those days hold sweet memories of my childhood. A time less about techniques and more about exploring watercolour and unleashing creativity. As I grew older, painting took a back seat until about a year ago when I started teaching English and art to young children. Witnessing their joy and painting reignited my own passion, reminiscent of when they would eagerly ask me to draw princesses for them. Inspired to rekindle my artistic pursuits, I sought out professional training with renowned artists to create beautiful, realistic paintings. Botanical art particularly captivates me, leading me to discover Ray Campbell on Patreon. Her extensive collection of botanical painting tutorials deeply resonated with me, and this journey has been incredibly fulfilling, and I'm grateful to Ray and all the artist teachers who have guided me along the way. This is a stunning painting from this lovely lady. Again, another Patreon tutorial. Yellow flowers can be notoriously difficult. Again, when we're talking about shading and toning, oftentimes it can be hard to get that balance right. And I think this is a stunning piece. So thank you so much for sharing this with us and for sharing your story. And I'm glad to hear that painting gives you so much joy as it does with the rest of us. Once again, thank you very much for your submission. Next up, we have Susan. Susan has painted this from our YouTube tutorials, and it's a stunning rose, and she has given it her own spin. Now, I love it when my viewers do their own thing with our tutorials. You can go in and make it your own. What I love about Susan's painting is she has given it a line and wash look. You've given it this kind of illustrative look, and by that I mean that you've sort of made it look really professional and given it that sharp edge. I really like the colours that you've chosen as well, giving it a more muted look than the actual tutorial, and by giving it that outline, it's given it that sharpness that I really enjoy. An absolutely gorgeous tutorial, and again I'm going to link it on the screen, so if anybody else would like to join in and paint something similar, then do join us on that link there. Something else I'd like to touch upon or reiterate is that when we give you the materials lists over on the Wonders of Watercolour, every tutorial I will link all the materials that I've used in that tutorial in the description box, so you can check out the colours that I've used, and if you do have difficulty matching up your colours, then I'm always on hand to help you. Oftentimes I will recommend brands that I've worked with, such as Deep Light, which I'm a massive fan of, but I appreciate that the paints are a little on the expensive side, and not everybody would like to buy them or want to buy them. So I often say in my videos, then please let me know if you are struggling with matching the colours, and I will help you as best I can based on the colours that you have. If you are enjoying this video, could I ask you to consider subscribing to my channel? Every week we release brand new tutorials which are full length and completely free. You won't find any of our tutorials from the Wonders of Watercolour over on Patreon. The Patreon tutorials are separate and they are written exclusively for my patrons. But with that said, I do give you full length tutorials here on the Wonders of Watercolour, and I'd appreciate your support. So if you could consider subscribing or even hitting that like button down below, the thumbs up, it's a way of supporting me and I would really appreciate it. Let's move on to our next artist. It's Susan. Susan has submitted another one of our older tutorials, which are the slow berries. Now, we did this quite a while ago over on YouTube. One of the things that can be hard to achieve with watercolour is the bloom that you see on some fruit. Plums, grapes, that kind of thing can have a kind of white bloom on them, and Susan has really achieved that here on these lovely slow berries. Again, we've got the negative spaces in the leaf, which can take a bit of time to do, which means that you're painting around the veins to give them their shape. And what I love about this is the depth of colour that Susan has achieved with the berries themselves. You've got this gorgeous dark colour, but unlike the blackberry that I've showed you before, these are matte. So you've got to achieve that matte finish rather than the glossy look that you get with the blackberries, with the blackberry. And this is a stunning painting. I love the gentleness of the stem, that woody stem that you see here, along with, like I said, the negative space on the leaves themselves. A lovely piece, Susan, and again I'll link it here so that you can, if you want to click through and take a look yourself, you can join in with that. Our next artist is Sheila. This one is from Patreon. This I adore. The reason I like this so much is because you can see how delicate this sweet pea flower is. You've got the tiny little water droplets on here. Sheila has nailed those. And you've also got the colour glazing. What Sheila has done here is applied those pink colours and then glazed over that colour with a different colour to make the colour on that upper petal stand out. You've got the soft green tones there, and you've got these little water droplets along with those little spiky hairs that you see coming down the stem. A beautiful piece, Sheila, and I can see why you are proud of this painting. Again, this is from Patreon, so check out that link underneath. This is our clematis level. We've got 3 levels on Patreon at the moment. We start off, well, we've got 4 because we've got a free membership level now where you can get our weekly tutorial outlines where applicable. But we've got, in terms of our paid membership, we've got our first layer, which is the magnolia layer. That isn't a tutorial layer as such. We do monthly minis and you have the access to the free outlines, as I've mentioned before. That's kind of an entry level. You can have a look around. Then we've got our main membership level, which is clematis. We have monthly tutorials there, which are broken down into bite-sized chunks. And then we have our rose level, where you get everything from those levels, as well as mentorship, coaching from me. But more about that if you click through. We have another artist for you here. This time we've got Paula. Paula's first submission is this hellebore. Now, we've already spoken about how tricky it can be to paint white flowers with watercolour, but this is just beautiful. This is a free full-length tutorial over on YouTube, so again I'll link it up here, but it speaks for itself. You've got all that detail in the middle with the stamen and anther, as well as the greyish tones that you see here to give this beautiful flower dimension. And it's all about getting that right. If you go in too heavy-handed with your colours, especially when painting white, it can look really muddy and false. It's about getting that balance right, and you've nailed it. Again, you've got this gorgeous green tone on the top, which makes that painting look realistic. Absolutely, absolutely beautiful. Next up, we have a rather interesting piece. Again, this is from YouTube. When we did this painting of this gorgeous magnolia, I seem to remember I just kind of made up the colours. This was from a white flower, and I made it as colourful as I wanted to. And I said, I'm going to give you carte blanche and do what you like with it and create whatever colours you want to, or you can join in with me. I love this piece because what Paula has done here is given it a looser style. Now, it's by no means a loose watercolour painting, but you can see that what Paula has done is dropped in that colour wet in wet. When you're working wet in wet, it means that you're dropping your colour in and charging up that colour to make it look slightly different. And you can see here how these colours have blended together really nicely to create this gorgeous painting. So another lovely one, and thank you for sharing. What Paula has said about herself is, I've attached a few paintings. The one that I'm most proud of is the hellebore, which was the first painting I felt confident enough to post on the Wonders of Watercolour. I live in Kent, in England, and learned watercolour from your YouTube tutorials during the pandemic, and I'm still learning from you every week. Thank you very much, Paula, and thank you for your submissions. We're going to finish up by sharing a painting from Carol. Carol has painted this wild rose. I really love this painting, so let's talk about it. Carol has said that I've picked this rose as it's the best thing I've painted. I started my watercolour journey when I found you on YouTube during the pandemic. I'm 66 years old and I've never painted before your tutorials. The reason I picked this flower is it's one of my favourites, and I see it on walks in their hedgerows. I live in Scotland with my hubby, who keeps telling me to believe my art is good, and it is good. So it just goes to show we have people of all abilities here on the Wonders of Watercolour, so anybody can join in. I love this little painting. This was one of our old ones. Again, I'll link it on the screen so that you can check it out for yourself. I love what you've done, the gentle colours, the gentle tones, and again, that's something that's very difficult to achieve with watercolour, so I think you've absolutely nailed it. Now, I'm going to call this the end of this episode. If I have left anybody out, please forgive me. We've been inundated with submissions for this showcasing your work video. I am going to be making a follow-up in the future, so you haven't been forgotten. I will be adding you to our next showcasing video, so you haven't been left out. I will share your works. So I want to say a huge thank you to our artists for submitting their work. Without them, it wouldn't be possible to make videos like this. I am so proud of you all for sharing your works and for creating pieces that you're proud of. And that's what we're all about here on The Wonders of Watercolour, making art accessible to everybody, no matter what the level of painting that you're at or where you are in your watercolour journey. All the tutorials are free and full length, so you don't have to go over to Patreon to pay to do our videos. You can join for free to get those free outlines so that you can join in with us and trace down your drawings, because not everybody enjoys the drawing. I don't. Okay, with that said, let's wrap this video up. I'd like to say a massive thank you to everybody that submitted their works and for making these videos possible. It's been an absolute joy. I'm going to put a watercolour playlist at the end of this video for you so that you can check out the ones that we didn't mention in this video. Once again, thank you for watching. My name is Rick Campbell. We are The Wonders of Watercolour, and I'll see you soon.